Welcome to Faces of Hope. My name is Jay Fox, and today we are joined by Meri McCann, who since January of 2019 has been on a recovery path from polysubstance use disorder, anxiety, depression, and PTSD. Meri, thank you for sharing your story.
No problem.
How did you know you had a problem?
Oh gosh, I had a lot of problems for a really long time.
Okay.
I don't know. I started drinking when I was a young kid.
How young is young?
I took my first drink when I was 5.
Wow. Now, was that something you did voluntarily, or were adults involved in this?
Voluntarily.
Okay.
I probably didn't necessarily know that I was trying to get drunk or anything like that, but I knew it was kind of cool,
Right.
you know? So by the time I was 12, I was definitely looking for a high or an escape.
Okay.
And I wasn't drinking or using every day, but I definitely would have if I could have.
Right. Now, did the drinking at that age lead to marijuana or some other substance?
Started using marijuana probably around 14, using
Okay.
other drugs by the time I was 15, 16.
And what drugs were we dipping into at that time?
Before I graduated from high school, it was different psychedelics and things like that. Shortly after high school.
Okay, so like mushrooms and acid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And by my early 20s, it was anything, you name it, cocaine, opioids.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the turning point for you where you had to say, hey, time out?
Well, I don't know, there were several different times that I went to treatment. You know, I was, let's see, it was about 10 days before I turned 42
Okay.
when I finally got into recovery this time.
Okay. So how many times did you go through treatment before you got to that point?
I had 2 inpatient stays in treatment, once when I was 15 and another when I was 25.
Okay. And how did you feel about those experiences? Did they help you, or?
They did. I tell people now, like, even if a person doesn't achieve like a full lifetime lasting recovery, you still take tools away from that. So it's not a wasted time going to rehab if someone has a relapse, even if it's a long-term relapse.
And you're dramatically different at the age of 15 versus the age of 25 versus the age of 42.
Right, exactly. When you're 15 and you go to rehab, I mean, that's when, you know, most of your friends haven't even like started to dabble and experiment and party yet, you know? So then,
did you feel socially ostracized because you went to rehab, or was that something that was private that wasn't shared with your peer group?
My friends knew,
right?
And I'm sure people at school figured it out. I don't know. I never really talked to. I didn't have a very large. I mean, I went to a small school, so everybody knew everybody, but I didn't really have close relationships with everybody that I went to school with.
Did you feel it as a teenager that you were ready to accept the fact that you needed help, or was it just sort of, I'm here because, and I'm going to go through the process?
I knew I had problems. I mean, my mental health was probably the thing that I was more concerned about as a teen. I knew I had severe depression, and I knew my moods were just not okay. I knew that, and I think that was more, I don't know. Even though looking back, I can see what a problem my substance use was. As a teenager, I think it was more, I knew I was very depressed. I knew I had a lot of anxiety. I knew things were...
Now, did they put you on a course of medicinal treatment at the age of 15?
Yes.
Okay. But how long did you stay sober?
When I was 15, a couple months probably.
Okay, so a couple months after rehab, we recycled old behavior. Now we get to 25 and we've got another chance at a similar experience. Are we still on the meds for depression and anxiety?
Oh, I've been on them and off them and on them.
So
and
what,
off
you didn't
them.
take them consistently?
Right. A lot of times, people who struggle with mental health issues we'll take our meds for a while, and then we'll be like, oh, I feel great. I feel fine. I don't need these anymore because I feel wonderful. And then it's, it's difficult.
Absolutely.
And, I think a lot of people feel that way no matter what the ailment they're treating is. People don't want to have to take medication. They don't want to feel like their body is failing them in some way.
And also that medication alters how you feel in general. And sometimes that's off-putting.
Yeah.
Right. So how did the recovery process go at 25 versus 15? 15, you said a couple of months, and we were back at it.
About a year.
About a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
So from 25 to 42, that's a 17-year stretch. What happened during those years?
After that year, I was like, oh, I think I can do this. I think it's
manageable.
I think it's manageable. And then when I was 29, I lost my sister to suicide.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I wanted to drink myself to death. I wanted to use every drug I could. I just wanted to do anything so I didn't have to feel that.
Feel it. Yeah.
Anything. It didn't matter anymore. I used to tell people I wasn't suicidal, but I had a death wish. And I would tell people that. I would straight up.
And did you find yourself in a position of suicidal ideation as a result of your sister's suicide?
Well, like I said, I mean,
aside from, wanting to numb the pain.
Well, I don't know. I wanted to die, but I didn't want to kill myself.
Okay, well, that's an answer. Absolutely.
I wanted to be dead. I wanted to be with her. I didn't want to be here anymore.
Right. And that was, you were 29.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've got a 13-year stretch. How did that manifest? Did it become easier, or did it just get worse?
Well, that was when I was 29. When I was 35, I ended up pregnant with my son.
Okay.
And, he saved my life. Did. And I was able to get my life together.
Good.
And I had a good stretch of I don't know that it was recovery, but I quit everything. And
respite.
Yes.
We'll call it respite.
Yes.
Okay.
And I stopped doing any of the hard drugs.
Okay.
And right. When I was pregnant, I was, not doing anything. But then I had my son, and I was dealing with a lot of postpartum depression after I had him.
Okay.
It was really bad. And I was afraid to tell anyone because I was a single mom.
Okay.
And I had a history of mental health issues.
Right.
I didn't want to tell anybody that I was struggling.
You didn't want anyone to take your child away.
Yep.
Right.
I was so terrified to tell anybody how bad it was.
Okay.
And I felt very ungrateful because I was 35 and all I ever wanted my entire life was to be a mom. And I didn't think I could have kids. Yeah. And then I get this precious, amazing kid. I mean, he's just fantastic in every way. And I was so depressed and overwhelmed, and I felt ungrateful. I felt unworthy, and I didn't know what to do. And yeah, I was so terrified to ask for help because I was afraid that people would come in and take him from me and, tell me that I wasn't fit to be his mom. So
did the using begin again?
Well, then I don't want to say, I'm going to use this term, but I don't want to call myself a victim. I fell victim to that mom wine culture. Mommy needs her wine. Mommy needs her wine. Everybody's hurt. Mommy needs her wine. I took care of my kid today. I'm going to go drink a bottle of wine. Mommy needs her wine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mommy needs her wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now.
So I was drinking a box of wine every night. A box of wine.
A box?
A box.
Okay. Well, that's a good wine. 32 glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, your son, whose name is?
Milo.
Milo. Oh, what a great name. So Milo's 7, and you're 42 years old.
Mm-hmm.
What was the epiphany that made you finally say, this is the moment?
I got into some legal trouble.
Okay.
I was in a mental health crisis.
Okay.
And the police were involved in my mental health crisis. And, by this time I was married. I'm married now. And by this time I was married. So my son and my husband, thank you. My husband's amazing too. He's wonderful and he's put up with so much. But the police were involved and my son was there. And, I was just like I said, it was like 10 days before my 42nd birthday. And I'm like, when am I going to stop? When am I going to break this cycle and let myself have a life that I can be proud of? When am I going to be the mom that my son deserves? And I mean, I knew I had a lot of potential and I just wasn't doing anything with it.
Did you see hope in Milo's face?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was that the tether for you that you held on to?
It was part of it. It was part of it, for
and
sure.
Your husband.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like I want to say I did it for my son, but you can't.
No, you have to do it for yourself.
Exactly.
But your son is an extension of you.
Right, exactly. Right. You have to, I guess, recovery has to be about like your life and what you want, and being a good mom is what I want, and being a good member of society.
Right. You made a choice.
Yeah.
To make a difference.
Yeah.
So you went to Catalyst.
I did.
And Catalyst is where you had your outpatient treatment, and then 3rd Street handled your medicinal program, correct?
Yes.
How were those experiences for you?
So I had been seeing doctors, a doctor and a counselor at Catalyst for quite some time for my mental health issues.
Okay.
But I had never told them about how much I was drinking and stuff to deal with other other things.
Right.
So I finally, when I realized how bad it was, I finally went in and I was really honest with them. And I was like,
were they surprised, or were they like, no, we kind of knew what was going on?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because sometimes it's hard to hide, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just obvious.
There were a lot of people in my life that were absolutely not surprised. So there were a lot of people that were like, well, duh, what I mean? So, but, I don't know about everyone. I don't know. I'm sure there were probably some people that were like, wow, I didn't know. And I'm sure there were some people that were like, of course,
So you went through the treatment program.
I went to Catalyst, and then they referred me over to 3rd Street for the MAT program, medication assisted treatment.
Right.
And so it was kind of a combination of those two agencies that helped me.
So how old are you now?
I am 46.
Okay. So 4 years sober.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How you doing with the PTSD and the depression and the anxiety?
Good.
Okay.
I'm compliant with my medications. I have a new outlook on life. I tell people all the time, like when we talk about substance use disorders and mental health issues, like I can't separate the two. Like,
usually they go hand in hand.
Right, exactly.
One causes the other.
Right, exactly. It's just this cycle that, you're depressed or you have anxiety or whatever. So then you start using some substance to deal with that. And then using that substance makes the mental health issues worse, which makes you want to use more.
They call it a vicious cycle.
Exactly.
Circle.
Right. So, I had to stop the substance use. And now, I take my medications every day, which help with the depression, the anxiety, things like that. I also really believe in the power of gratitude. I'm also very big on setting goals and staying focused. So I've been able to achieve a lot of my goals.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited about that. It really, I tell people, and I always have, like the entire time that I've been in recovery, it's kind of like a snowball effect. Like you accomplish one thing and then you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah.
And then you could
do something else.
I could do something else.
Let's go.
And I mean, I tell people, maybe not all the people because I don't want to let people know, but I'm like, I think I have imposter syndrome because I'll look at my life and I'll be like, am I really here? Am I really doing this? Like, people trust me to do these things?
You were feeling transcendental.
Like, now people in my family, like, I'm the grown-up in my family.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you. Like, as my parents have grown older and stuff,
you've become the matriarch.
Yes, okay. I'm the, and...
So many people are suffering. How do we convince someone else who's suffering, whether it be depression, anxiety, PTSD, substance abuse? What would you say to somebody? How do they take that first step?
Okay, so first of all, this is genuine, even though it's going to sound not. This is where I always cry.
Okay, holding hands. Here we go. We can do this.
So, yeah, this is the part where I always cry. The hardest thing I ever had to do was tell people that I needed help. Because it's so freaking scary. It's so scary.
What were you afraid of? Were you afraid that people were going to look at you differently? Or were you afraid that you were going to lose control?
There's a couple things, okay? First of all, you don't want to, people are going to look at you differently. And a lot of times, and some people will. Some people look at you like, why can't you just quit doing this? Or why can't you, what are you so sad about or whatever? Why can't you just quit drinking or using or whatever? It's not that easy. And so there is that fear of judgment. And unfortunately, there are going to be some people that are going to judge, and we can't change that about them. Another thing, sometimes I tell people, like, as far as like substance use goes, it can be like leaving an abusive relationship.
Okay.
Even though it's what's best for you and what's healthy, sometimes it's less scary to stay with what you know.
Right.
It's this is what I'm used to. This is what I've always known. And so even though I know it's not healthy, it's what I'm familiar with.
And the unknown could be frightening.
It's terrifying.
Right.
It's terrifying. And so it's so like going out there. And then also, if you say I have a problem and I need help, what happens if you go out there and you do okay for 2 or 3 months and then you stumble?
And it happens.
And you relapse, or you have another manic episode or something like that, and people are looking at you going, I know you couldn't do it. I knew it.
So how did you believe in yourself enough?
I don't know. I got to the point where I just knew I had to change.
And you turned off all the outside noise.
Mm-hmm. I surrounded myself with really supportive people. I want to thank every single person that helped me get to where I am right now, but I could not even begin to list the number of people that have helped me get to where I am right now. I couldn't even, I just...
So say thank you to the universe.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you. I mean, genuinely, to every single person. I hope you all know who you are. Thank you to all of you, everybody, the universe.
And thank you for doing this today and sharing your story. Our guest has been Meri McCann, 4 years in recovery right now, and another example of Faces of Hope. I'm Jay Fox. Thanks for watching.